government to plan well. Here comes a situation where a patient is admitted today, he comes in today, and now subscribes to a whole year's payment today. What happens to the concept of planning? What happens to how is going to pay, how the government is going to fill the gap? Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I feel the committee should review, look at it in holistically and advise on how well are we going to look at the issue that payment should be somehow consistent but not instant, as into when you fall sick today and you go for admission and you pay. Honorable Speaker, a case in time is a situation where we need to pay for CT scan, for example. Because it's expensive, I now move in and pay the 7,000 today. How about if X number of people pay today that amount? It means the drawback is going to be expensive to the government. So what I feel, Honorable Speaker, is let's have a substitute move and look at it holistically and plan. Actuaries should come up with a formula to help SHA plan on how to mitigate such a situation, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member of Health Committee. Yes, Odanga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, in the beginning, SHA had a lot of issues of registration, people accessing, and people even accessing the healthcare services. But today, moving around the countryside, you will find that many people who are members of SHA are now accessing the services more than before. And we need to really strengthen this. I want to agree with the Honorable Mboko and the Honorable Wangwe that the instant payment should be stopped so that we pay monthly, the way we used to do in NHIF. It will become easier and more attractable to our people. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Passaris, you're a member of the committee? Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to lend my voice to the conversation that's going on SHA. I think in the beginning, when we used to have NHIF, you had to have a 3-month waiting period before it could be utilized. But with SHA, we said that anybody who walks into a hospital, whether you're registered or not, you will have access to universal health care. Honorable Speaker, just recently we had a street lady who was pregnant, and I met her, and I tried to get her an ID so I could register her for SHA. But unfortunately, the ID has not come out yet, and she ended up having an emergency cesarean. But the hospital, Pumwani, actually took her through the social services department, realized that she was a street girl, and then eventually just let her off. But the fact remains that even us right now as parliamentarians, we're paying our SHA deductions every month. If the parliament were going to be asked today to pay 1 year upfront, it would be almost an impossibility. So the fact is, we need to make sure that we market SHA to the communities. We make them understand that SHA will get stronger and be better able to serve if we pay. People normally pay when they're sick or when they're admitted. That weakens the whole structure of universal health care. Even India struggles with universal health care in spite of having cheap medical, lots of hospital facilities, and a population that is actually huge to serve. What we need to do with SHA is do a lot of marketing, do a lot of recruitment. We need to make sure that people understand. And then the people out there, if you can afford 1,000 or you've been assessed to be able to pay 1,000 premium or 2,000 premium, you have to pay the rate that is given to you based on the assessment. If your assessment has been done wrong, go and have it queried. The fact is, if we want this country to be able to offer universal health care, we need to be able to pay the premiums. So let's not wait until we are sick. And I think that message has to be taken to the communities, taken to the various institutions, taken as well to the grassroots, because people join SHA when they are sick. People join SHA when they get admitted. So SHA will actually collapse if we continue that way. So the idea is for us to make sure that our house help are, even if they're not formally employed, we pay SHA for them. Everybody has a moral responsibility to make sure that the people that they know are have signed up to SHA. And recently I had a friend of mine who said to me, I've got a gardener and a watchman and they want to sign up for SHA. How do I go about it? This shows us that the Ministry of Health is not doing enough. The easy way is to say, let people pay 1 year premium. No, make us see your advertisement. Advertise SHA and the benefits. You keep telling us it's working, but show us the benefits of SHA and the advertising. Use your online, use online, and make sure that everybody gets to understand that we need to sign up for SHA, we need to pay SHA. But asking people to pay 1 year upfront because you're not doing your marketing well, I think that's it's wrong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any member of Health Committee? Rindagiri, you want also to joyride?
I would just want to thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think SHA, from what I'm gathering from our great people, Bori, it is coming out very well. SHA is functioning, and SHA is really taking care of those who have been admitted, seeking medical attention. Mr. Speaker, the only problem is accessibility for some people, particularly in the rural areas. What we are trying to do as a community is civic education. But Mr. Speaker, the members of parliament or MCAs cannot do entirely the public enlightenment. It is very important that the Ministry of Health takes up the responsibility and first inducts particularly the local administration, the area managers, the sub-chiefs, the chiefs, and even ECC and some DCCs, who even themselves, being the government agents, are not able to explain the functionalities of SHA. Mr. Speaker, you go some areas they have never known about it. All what people are taking advantage is social media. But all in all, particularly in my constituency, people are coming to appreciate the good part of SHA. But Mr. Speaker, I don't know how the operation of SHA was or made it that the premium payable need to be paid per year. Mr. Speaker, not everybody can afford paying the premium per year. My rural constituency, Mr. Speaker, there are low seasons of harvest and there are high seasons. Even those who are employed, Mr. Speaker, cannot afford to pay. Mr. Speaker, you go and find that there is assessment that is being done, particularly on those ones who are being admitted. Once that assessment is done, there are those ones who are assessed at 300 shillings per month, but you are told to pay per year. There are those ones who are assessed 500 shillings per month, but you are forced to pay per year. There are those ones who are being assessed 1,000 per month, and they are forced to pay for 12 months. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, that criteria of determining the amount that needs to be paid.
That is beyond joyriding.
Mr. Speaker, I hear you. It's just expressing what is really happening there, because I'm sure many people are listening to us, and this is the only place where we represent the feelings of our people. And the people, Mr. Speaker, they are really watching how you specifically, Mr. Speaker, you are navigating through ensuring that this universal health care becomes a reality in this country. So you are presenting over this house, and this is the only house that will ensure this success of this of SHA. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not only joyriding, but I'm really enhancing the authority of this house in supporting the government, initiate the proper process of making sure that so many people join and the expense of joining. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, you'll advise Committee on Health to bring the response. to Milemba within the first week after recess. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, consideration of the performance audit report on the provision of services to persons with disabilities by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities.
Emmanuel Wangwedas, your committee?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the performance audit report by the Auditor General on the provision of services to the persons with disabilities in the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 30th July, 2024. Honorable Speaker, allow me to begin by asking ourselves on what is this we call performance audit report. Honorable Speaker, performance audit report is a self-moved report by the Auditor General pursuant to Section 36 of the Public Audit Act, particularly Cap 412B, which provides in verbatim that the Auditor General shall conduct performance audit to examine the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness with which public money has been expended pursuant to Article 229 of the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, many of my colleagues in this House would expect that when PIC presents a report, it presents a report looking at numbers that have been audited from a particular entity, so that we consider and see whether efficiency, prudency, effectiveness of the expending has been done. But on this one, Honorable Speaker, this is a motion by the Auditor General herself to understand what is it that is happening in the Council for Persons with Disabilities. Honorable Speaker, the report was tabled in July 2024, but thank God, after that, Honorable Speaker, in May last month, 2025, we passed in this House the Persons with Disabilities Act, which ended up correcting so many of the observations that were done by the Auditor General in this report. Honorable Speaker, the Auditor, having moved on her own motion to understand what is happening in the Council for Persons with Disabilities, there are several issues that were raised, which came up and which made the Auditor General to feel that the Council would be not moving in the right direction or not attaining the threshold that is required, Honorable Speaker. The various issues I would want to enumerate here, Honorable Speaker, forms part of the concerns that struck the eye of the Auditor General, prompting her now to move in and start the audit to submit the report to the House. One, Honorable Speaker, there are issues of delay. There were issues of delay in the registration of persons with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, persons with disabilities are subjected to various forms of delay to register. And the only way, Honorable Speaker, to recognize somebody that he or she is a person living with a disability is the registration. And Honorable Speaker, you find that registration of persons with disabilities is such a tedious exercise that it's not you and I that has to undertake the registration. It is so classified that the Director of Medical Services is the approved entity to list or to enumerate who is this person that is living with disability. Honorable Speaker, where do you get this service, and who is this Director of Medical Services that is all round to find that he provides the registration of persons with disabilities? You end up finding, Honorable Speaker, that the backlog of unsigned disability assessment forms continue to be experienced in the country, in the county level offices. Honorable Speaker, it is not easy. We only have maybe about 6 medical officers who are eligible to enumerate the persons with disabilities. So what happens to the rest of the persons with disabilities? A number of counties have made disability assessment free of charge, yes, while others continue to charge between 200 to 1,500 for you to be registered. Honorable Speaker, this is statistics for the audit that was carried between 2013 and 2020, when the Auditor General, on her own motion, moved in to find out what is happening in the Council for Persons with Disabilities. The problem is compounded, Honorable Speaker, where assessed persons is seeking tax exemption by Kenya Revenue Authority because he or she has to travel to far away centers where KRA assessments are periodically conducted. Those are issues, Honorable Speaker, that move a person to be now registered. And Honorable Speaker, it is such a tedious exercise that is going on in the council, and if it's not checked, it now keeps on compounding the various persons living with disabilities not to enjoy the services. Honorable Speaker, the other issue that came up to the attention of the Auditor General is the cash transfer program that has not substantially improved the livelihood of persons with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, when you audit the cash transfer program from the social protection perspective, there is so much that is moving into that program. But, Honorable Speaker, from the eye of the Auditor General, has this improved lives of persons living with disabilities? Honorable Speaker, there are quite a number of observations that came up on that, with that question. The mode of paying has improved over time and moved from manual to card-based, then to current electronic platform, which is individual and account-based, which addresses challenges previously experienced by the beneficiaries. Yes, it has enabled to access those who are registered. How about those who are not registered, Honorable Speaker? That is now the challenge that comes about with that cash transfer, meaning, Honorable Speaker, it is sectarian. A few are getting and the majority are not because of not being registered. The cash transfer program, Honorable Speaker, has also experienced delays in disbursement of funds due to delay in release of exchequer from the National Treasury. Honorable Speaker, these people, persons living with disability, depend entirely on that cash transfer program. So the moment the exchequer is delayed, they are also stuck in their daily activities and they are unable to move because that is their only income that they have. The Social Assistance Unit, Honorable Speaker, over time has not reviewed the amount of cash transfer periodically as documented in the Consolidated Cash Transfer Program Manual. Honorable Speaker, you and I have always known that the cash transfer program is 2,000 for as long as it has been there. It has never been improved. It has never increased. But, Honorable Speaker, you'll agree that life has changed, the cost of living has changed, and inflation has also moved. In as much as, Honorable Speaker, today inflation has come down, but over time it has been fluctuating. Honorable Speaker, the other issue that caught the eye of the Auditor General is the Economic Empowerment Program, which has not improved the economic status of persons with disabilities. What is this we are talking about, Economic Empowerment Program, Honorable Speaker? The amount granted to each group, you find, Honorable Speaker, various groups of persons with disabilities are put together to submit their proposals, and they get empowerment programs. The amount, Honorable Speaker, granted to each of the groups was not adequate to start viable projects. Marketing was a challenge, and the group would disintegrate due to disagreement among the members. Honorable Speaker, whereas government has tried to consolidate these persons with the disabilities together by empowering the various groups, the question is, Honorable Speaker, is the money they are getting good enough to enable them to start a business? You find, Honorable Speaker, the allocations to these groups is so small, so minimal, that it only creates disagreement when the members of that group gets together, and instead now they go each one of them separate way, so they are not able to move and make any impact or meaningful progress out of that grant from the government. Honorable Speaker, not every spade is a spade. At times it becomes a big spoon. Not everyone who is disabled is an albinism. We have different categories of disability. I want to address, Honorable Speaker, a challenge that also got the eye of the Auditor General. The Albinism Support Program, which has not adequately also, Honorable Speaker, addressed skin care requirements of persons with albinism. Honorable Speaker, the key issue affecting persons with albinism is the skin care. Their skin is susceptible to infections. So the moment you support their skin protective issues, that is the way to address persons with albinism. And Honorable Speaker, how I wish my good friend, the investor, was around. He would support this idea or this suggestion by the Auditor General. And what was the observation, Honorable Speaker, that got the Auditor's eye? Screening for skin cancer for the persons with albinism has not been done as expected. Her finding, Honorable Speaker, goes on to say, that this was attributed to non-functional serotherapy machines in some instances, lack of necessary training on the use of machines, and lack of awareness on the need for skin cancer screening by persons with albinism. Honorable Speaker, that's a very critical issue that got the auditor's eye for her to be able to sum up and give it to us. What did she observe? That persons with albinism, Honorable Speaker, have been unable to collect the skincare items due to the challenge of proximity to the collection centers. These are specialized kind of service, Honorable Speaker, and it's not found in Navaholo. My person from Navaholo has to travel to Kakamega or even to Nairobi to access this kind of skincare facility, Honorable Speaker. The Auditor General also feels the Council has not enlightened the persons with albinism about the provision of the skincare items. Also, Honorable Speaker, some of our patients or persons living with albinism, they don't know that these items can be provided for by the government. So the Auditor General has brought it to the attention that it's important the Council of Persons Living with Disability makes it good to get to the bottom, lowest person, Honorable Speaker, to know that the government can provide. And Honorable Speaker, finally, the Auditor General talks about the skincare items sometimes expire at the hospitals due to non-collection of the lotions by persons with albinism. Honorable Speaker, some areas are advantaged. Those who are with proximity to Nairobi, they access the medicine faster. How about, Honorable Speaker, anybody with albinism from Wajir, from Mandera, from Turkana, from Navaholo, Honorable Speaker, to come to Nairobi to acquire lotions to protect his or her skin? It's a challenge, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other issue that got the eye of the Auditor General was the issue on infrastructure and equipment support program, which has not adequately improved the status of institutions supporting learners with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, the government is putting into these programs, into these institutions, into our schools, what we call special schools, equipment to support programs to support learners with a kind of albinism disabilities. But Honorable Speaker, what happens to this? The Auditor General has sent 3 issues that happen, Honorable Speaker. She says that the National Council for Persons with Disability Infrastructure grants of 2 million shillings per institution has only benefited a small proportion of institutions out of the many deserving cases. Honorable Speaker, we are only talking of 2 million, could be per how many institutions a year. We pass this budget here, and when you look at it, Honorable Speaker, the institutions are overwhelming. It's a whole ocean in the country, but we get maybe 10 institutions in a year. So by the time we reach each and every corner of the institutions and the schools that we have, Honorable Speaker, yourself being a teacher, you can know how many schools are there in the whole country and at what pace are they dispersing the 2 million. And the question is the 2 million sufficient? Honorable Speaker, the second issue the Auditor General is observing is that the National Council of Persons with Disabilities, despite having budgetary ceiling to only approve projects whose budget does not exceed 2 million, went ahead and approved projects whose bill of quantity exceeded 2 million shillings. Honorable Speaker, disobedience. The accounting officer decides not to listen to the cabin, but he goes ahead maybe with other conditions in mind, such that maybe it could be the project is proximal to Nairobi or to whatever area, and he approves more than the ceiling. Honorable Speaker, the other final issue under this infrastructure the Auditor observes is that the Council has experienced shortage of funds due to reduction of the budget, greatly affecting the support to institutions for infrastructure development. Honorable Speaker, when the Minister for Finance or the Cabinet Secretary for Finance is overwhelmed and issues now budget cuts, one of the easiest places he runs to cut the budget is on this fund, Honorable Speaker, without looking and observing that persons with disability are greatly disadvantaged and they need to be supported. He goes ahead and chops off a huge sum of funds that rather belongs to National Council for Persons with Disabilities, disadvantaging, Honorable Speaker, any new institution that would benefit from the infrastructure fund of this organization. Honorable Speaker, the last issue that the auditor felt is important, this House, the second last, this House seizes off this matter, is the assistance devices program, which has not, Honorable Speaker, adequately addressed the needs of persons with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, this is a bit technical language, but put it in plain English. Items like crutches, wheel bicycles, items that help our brothers and sisters who are disadvantaged to move from point A to B. These are what we call assistive device program, devices, Honorable Speaker. The auditor has also made 3 observations under that program. And she says, the statement that the National Council for Persons with Disabilities is implementing the Buy Kenya and Build Kenya initiative by procuring and issuing locally calibrated assistive devices that ensure better suitability and longevity, as well as appropriateness to the local terrains, as opposed to the imported devices, may not work for some disability cases which require specialized equipment not locally manufactured. Honorable Speaker, the issue of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, for that period when it was enforced, it also applied to this, such that, Honorable Speaker, you could only get the items that were being made with our brothers from Kikomba, our brothers from the light industrial areas in Kenya, so that, Honorable Speaker, how about those who had spine conditions, whose wheeling required some kind of technically assembled equipment, Honorable Speaker? That part disadvantaged our the program. And the second issue that the auditor observed was that the Council, Honorable Speaker, did not issue most of the persons with disabilities with the devices during the period they had applied for. Honorable Speaker, when you go to Westlands in the headquarters of the Council, you will get a list of those who are queued to get these devices, Honorable Speaker. They are not available. They are not. They cannot. They are not enough to fill the population, Honorable Speaker, that is living with disability. The third issue, Honorable Speaker, that the Auditor General has observed is that the Council, Honorable Speaker, did not collaborate the issuance of the applied for assistive devices to the professional medical assessment report prior to issuing the assistive device to the beneficiaries. Honorable Speaker, it is not just that a person wakes up and gets assistive devices. Assistive devices, Honorable Speaker, could be like lenses. You must get a doctor's prescription of what your eyes require. Then you go to the shop and procure the lenses, depending on how you've been assessed, Honorable Speaker. You find that there was no collaboration. According to the Auditor General, Honorable Speaker, the Council wakes up today and feels they need to procure enough bicycles. They have enough people to use. They buy those bicycles. But the question is, not all persons living with disabilities that require a bicycle have similar conditions. There are medical challenges, and a medical doctor needs to examine and advise the Council on what is it that's required to be used. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the last observation that the Auditor General moved was that the education assistance program did not enhance the retention and continuity of education for persons with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, despite the fact that the program was there, did it retain enough persons with disabilities in school? The answer is no. Did it support the improvement of persons with disabilities? The answer is, Honorable Speaker, we need to do more. More needs to be done so that we retain these people in school and enhance and move forward that persons with disabilities, Honorable Speaker, also get the right education. Honorable Speaker, I want to state a case in time in my constituency, Honorable Speaker. Myself, it comes a time when, Honorable Speaker, I had a sponsor who gave me enough bicycles for persons with disabilities. But, Honorable Speaker, you find that these people end up leaving some of those bicycles at home. They would want to walk with that kind of strain to go to the market. For what reason, you can't understand. A young person whom you have given a bicycle to use feels better not to use that bicycle when he's coming to see you, so that, Honorable Speaker, you sympathize with that person. The same, and support him for the instant small amount you give him that time. I feel the education program also faces the same challenge, that, Honorable Speaker, these persons did not seem to see that they want to be enlightened, to be educated, but instead they go into the school and again drop out on their own volition. It has not achieved that much, a situation which, Honorable Speaker, all of us, the Auditor General is calling on all of us to support the council so that all those institutions that have been spent on by public funds must now be supported so that those institutions run to the reason as to why they were initiated. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, why did the Auditor General have to take trouble to ensure that she comes up with this report, which somehow looks obvious, but Honorable Speaker, it is not obvious. It is detailing what is happening in this institution, why we should now all as a house support this institution and raise it to another level, Honorable Speaker. It has the monitoring and evaluation position. It has the financial trajectory we need to look at it. It has the governance aspect that we need to look at it. As a house, Honorable Speaker, when we move and approve this report, in advance, Honorable Speaker, and on my opening remark was the institution has already adopted, the ministry has already moved the bill on persons with disability bill, and which we passed this House in May. Most of the recommendations, Honorable Speaker, in that bill align with this audit, which we tabled the report in July 2024. Meaning, Honorable Speaker, this House is the savior of the challenges that the Auditor General on her own motion has moved. So I want to seek that we approve this report and anything that is pending, particularly, Honorable Speaker, the bill which we passed, we need to ensure that the regulations thereon come into this House, and I want to invite my colleague in charge of the Committee on Delegated Legislation to move fast and put in place the regulations that now implement the act that we passed in May 13th of this, into this House, so that the implementation part of this, the act, and in conjunction with the auditor's report that she has given us, detailing what is happening, where we need to cure, and what we need to do. What I've presented, Honorable Speaker, is just the summary. But when you look at the entire report and look at the auditor's audited report itself, it details what, once the report is adopted, what the council needs to do and by when is it supposed to implement, so that the council moves forward and effectively uses the public resources in an efficient way. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move and ask my colleague, the great lady from Busia, in another language she's called Mama Kipepeo, to second.
Who is Mama Kipepeo?
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
Honorable Manyo, proceed.
Wow, I second with a lot of, I think I'm a little bit emotional, but people living with disability and their caregivers should not be waiting for us to think about them, but we should be upfront in supporting them and thinking for them, because they are already socially isolated, marooned in their own way, in their own world, because many things that we have put across in our nation, we did not think ahead. If you went in a classroom, recently I had a county-wide registration of people living with disabilities, and some students were also part of it. They even don't have a locker that can encourage them sit comfortably and write just like any other child with no challenges. And also some of the classes, they were built long time ago, and because of poverty, they have not improved in areas or ramps that can help these children and any other person with a challenge of mobility. We must pull out all stops as a nation, because they are already disadvantaged. Giving a person living with disability 2,000 a month, and we have others with albinism who need sunscreen, and a good sunscreen, Mr. Speaker, costs 1,000 and above. So if they wait for 2,000 a month, what else will they do with the little remaining? Because again, they have to add a moisturizer, and a good one, not these cheap ones that still make them burn, look dark red and cracked skin. A good moisturizer that has a SPF in it and can help them not crack and attract houseflies on them. I will be so stoked if people living with disability and their caregivers are paid good, reasonable money. The cash transfer of 2,000, Mr. Speaker, if we gave them even talk of the minimum wage, maybe 16,000 or 25,000, that will also curb a lot of money that is just wasted in other things. It will curb a lot of corruption as well, because most of it will be going to the right people, the needy people, our families and friends. I did a county-wide registration as well, and I hired buses and matatus and pickups to bring them in a particular place in the county. Shockingly enough, some of them could not be put inside a matatu or a bus. And if they managed to squeeze them in there, the buses or matatus did not have a special area carved out for people living with a disability. You can imagine how even us, with all the knowledge we have, we are ignorant when we buy some of these equipments. So people living with disabilities need professional, these counselors, professional counselors also who can help them, because when we sat there the whole day, most of them, even coming to the meeting, did not even look happy. They looked like they are already stressed, and they had so much to tell us, but I'm not a professional, so I didn't know what to do but to help by registering them. And most of them have never, or they have been ignored, because many things that come to us, people who can easily run left, right, and get, they hardly reach to get also part of our cake of the nation. So the registration is paramount. We have to go door to door through our Nyumba Kumi, village elders. They know well where everybody is who has challenges. Some of the children with the disability have been hidden. And they have been hidden because we are not civilized enough, have not gone to school properly. We are still in our cocoons of beliefs that if a woman or a family has a person living with disability, there might be a curse there. So some of the families hide these children. They have not taken them to school. So if we do door to door and get them all, from zero age, hata kama amezaliwa leo, we need them to be registered, and from there, the caregivers to be given proper equipment as well, because some caregivers have the knowledge but don't have the equipment. Some of them don't have even the knowledge, but they have the heart to help. With the motivation, they will do better. So our health sector should put more money there also to make sure that even dispensaries in the villages should have a proper wing for people living with disability and a person who is qualified to handle them. Also, the caregivers who help out, they face physical exhaustion and they hardly sleep. They are deprived. So if already they have these challenges, motivation is zero. And maybe some of them even don't get this money, because if you ask most of them, some get, and if they get, it is delayed again. If you get 2,000 a month, and then it is delayed, maybe for 2 months, that is also adding the challenge they have. You are making it worse. So I thank my senior brother, Honorable Wangwe, for this intensively and extensively well done job. I second, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. I didn't hear you speak about the double registration that has been done all over the years. They keep on registering the same people, changing the card this year, and next year another card, another card, another card. Honorable members, I now propose the question that consideration of the performance audit report on the provision of services to persons with disabilities by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities be now read a second time. Yes, Honorable Odanga. Thank you, honorable members. Just for a minute. I'll take it again. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Public Investment Committee on Social Services, Administration, and Agriculture on its consideration of the performance audit report by the Auditor General on the provision of services to persons with disabilities by the National Council for Persons with Disabilities laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 30th July 2024. Honorable Danga, you may now take.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the Auditor General's report on the provision of services to the people of living with disabilities. And I want to thank Honorable Wangwe for moving the motion. Honorable Speaker, it is true that people living in disability in this country are living under very difficult conditions. Mr. Speaker, in the last Parliament, I did make a question to the Cabinet Secretary over the issue of registration of people living with disability, and it came to the committee under the chairmanship of Honorable Wanga, who was a member of this House. And Nelson Marwa came to respond to the same. Little has been done, Honorable Speaker, because for a person to be registered as a person living with disability by the council, and you know they have to be approved by a doctor, and there are very few. And then it is, it is very harrowing for a member, a person living with disability, to be registered. And again, the registration is not done once. I thought after assessment of a person to have been proved to be a person living with a disability, the disability is permanent. I don't think that at one point that disability disappears. So like a person living with disability coming from Matayos or Navajo or so, coming to Nairobi, you can see the pressure on the Nairobi roads, the pressure of people in Nairobi, that person coming, and sometimes they go without being registered. You can imagine what it is. The solution should be that these services are devolved to the counties or sub-counties so that these people don't find it difficult to get registered. Mr. Speaker, walking around Nairobi streets, you will see a lot of people living with a disability, begging, and that kind of thing. And it is being said that even some of them are being abused and misused by other people. They're making business out of the few coins that they are making. This is something that we need to rid of in our country, giving them assistive devices, the cash transfer to reach them all, and even, Mr. Speaker, sometimes even this cash assistance, when you go to places where it is being done, like in the past it was being done even at social hall, the people who surround these people even con them of the money. Many times they don't get the money home. So we really need to work on this. Even the schools, our schools should be given even priority, the special schools. You get that even the ratio of teacher to pupil is very low. They must be given the priority they deserve. When we are doing our constructions, we need to put there the facilities that are required for people living with disability to assist them, the ramps and so on and so forth. I once went to Brussels, and I've never seen a shorter man like the one I saw in Brussels. But he is in the office at the European Union Parliament. He's given facilities that will make him do the work that he does, the table, the chairs, everything. This is what we need to consider for our country. And I want to thank the Honorable Wango for moving this. I support Honorable Speaker.
Very well, the Honorable Kuria Kimani.
Nashukuru sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia kwa ripoti hii ambayo ni mapendekezo ya kamati ya uwekezaji wa umma kuhusu ripoti ya ukaguzi wa utendaji wa mdhibiti wa mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu za serikali. Na hii ni kuhusu utoaji wa huduma ya watu wenye ulemavu katika Baraza la Kitaifa la Watu wenye Ulemavu. Ripoti hii, Mheshimiwa Spika, inaangazia hesabu hizi za kifedha za mwaka wa 2013 na 2014 hadi mwaka wa 2019 na mwaka wa 2020. Ingawa kamati hii imefanya juhudi kubwa sana ya kuhakikisha kwamba wameangazia hizi ripoti ambazo zimewasilishwa kwao na mkaguzi mkuu wa hesabu za serikali, unaona kwamba Spika, bado kuna muda mrefu sana ambao hizi hesabu za shirika hazijaangaziwa na kamati. Unapata kwamba hii ripoti inafika mwaka wa 2020 na kwa hivyo kuna miaka 5 ambayo haijaangaziwa. Na ukiangalia, Mheshimiwa Spika, hata katika sheria zetu za upande wa Tax Procedures Act inasema ya kwamba zile rekodi ambazo halmashauri ya KRA ama ya utoza ushuru inaweza kuja kuangalia katika biashara yako ni ya miaka 5. Kwa hivyo hii tayari inakiuka sheria zingine ambazo zimeangaziwa ama zimeweza kupitishwa katika bunge hili, Mheshimiwa Spika. Ya pili, pengine jambo ambalo tunaweza kuwapa kongole hili shirika ni kwamba angalau maswala ya wale walemavu yameanza kuangaziwa. Kuna wale ambao wameanza kusajiliwa na kuna wale ambao wanapokea zile shilingi 2,000 kwa kila mwaka. Kwa hivyo hili ni jambo ambalo tunaweza wapa kongole, tuseme basi ni jambo ambalo limefanyika vizuri na tunawapa hongera kwa hayo. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, ukizingatia hata siku ya leo ambao tunaangazia maswala ya walemavu, tunaangazia haya maswala bila yule tunaita sign language interpreter, yule mkalimani wa wale ambao wa alama, mkalimani wa alama, kuangazia wale ambao kabisa hawawezi kusikia tunayozungumzia. Na kwa hivyo hiyo inamaanisha kwamba ingawa tunazungumzia maswala ya walemavu, bado tunazungumzia maswala yao bila wao kujua tunayozungumzia, kwa sababu ile lugha ambayo tunatumia wao hawaelewi, kwa sababu katika kikao cha maana kama hiki hatuna yule mkalimani wa lugha ya alama. Mheshimiwa Spika, mchakato wa usajili ambao umeweza kuzungumzwa vizuri sana na Mheshimiwa Mama Kipepeo unazua bado mambo ya kusisimua, kwa sababu hayaangazii wale wote ambao wako na ulemavu. Kuna wananchi wengi sana, familia mingi sana ambao wako na ile mambo ya ulemavu lakini bado hawajasajiliwa. Na kuongeza chumvi kwenye kidonda, kuna wale wengine ambao Mheshimiwa Spika umesema wamesajiliwa maradufu. So kuna wale ambao hawajasajiliwa, na juu ya kuongezea chumvi kwa kidonda kuna wale ambao wamesajiliwa maradufu. Kwa hivyo hii kabisa sio haki kwa wale ambao ni walemavu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kiwango cha pesa ambazo tunawapa hawa walemavu ya shilingi 2,000 bado hakiambatani na hali saizi ya kiuchumi. Na kwa hivyo natumaini kwamba kamati ya bunge ambayo inaangazia mambo ya bajeti katika bunge hili, wakati wanaangazia bajeti inayokuja, wataweza kuangazia na kuhakikisha kwamba wameongezea hela ambazo zika katika zile pesa ambazo zinapewa hawa walemavu, ili angalau zikuwe zaidi ya 2,000 hizi ziweze kuendanishana na hali ya kiuchumi ambavyo ilivyo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, mambo ya ajira na uwakilishaji wa watu wenye ulemavu bado uko chini sana katika serikalini na bado katika sekta binafsi. Ukiangalizia hata hapa katika bunge letu, wale ambao wameweza kuchaguliwa kama ambao ni walemavu ni wachache sana, ukiangalia wale wengine ambao wote wamechaguliwa katika hii bunge. Na inaonyesha, kwa sababu hii inaonyesha sura yetu ya Kenya, inamaanisha kwamba vile ambavyo hawako wengi hapa ndivyo pia hawako katika sekta zingine, na hasa zaidi katika sekta za kibinafsi. Mheshimiwa Spika, msaada wa vifaa ambao unatolewa kwa hawa walemavu kufuata tathmini hazifuati msaada wa vifaa unaotolewa haufuati tathmini sahihi za kitaalamu. Na hii ndio maana yule mwenyekiti alikuwa anasema vifaa vingine ambavyo vinapewa hawa walemavu kuwasaidia katika ulemavu wao, vingine vimepitwa na wakati, vingine ambavyo vinahitaji vifaa vingine kama vile batteries. Mheshimiwa Spika, unapata wanapewa bila battery, ama hizo batteries zinakuwa hazifikishi muda kama mwaka mmoja ambavyo unastahili, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kwa hivyo haya ni mambo ambayo kabisa lazima tuyaangazie kama bunge hili, kama kabisa tunataka kuwasaidia wale ambao wako na ulemavu. ulemavu. Kwa hivyo ni masuala gani ambayo tungependa kupendekeza? Tumesema ya kwamba serikali ifanye tathmini mpya ya kiwango cha marupurupu ambacho kinalingana na hali ngumu ya ugumu wa ulemavu kwa hali ya kiuchumi na kulengwa. Kwamba wote ambao ni walemavu wanapata kiasi kimoja cha shilingi 2,000 ni jambo ambalo linafaa kuzingatiwa zaidi, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu ulemavu kuna tofauti. Bei mahitaji ambayo yanahitajika kuangazia wale ambao ni ulemavu yanatofautiana kulingana na hali ya ulemavu. Na kwa hivyo unapata kwamba zile hela ambazo zinapewa wale walemavu zote ni shilingi 2,000. Na iwapo wengine ni walemavu kiasi kwamba hawezi kutoka kutembea, wengine wanahitaji hata pengine diapers na maneno mengine. Kwa hivyo nafikiri tunafaa kuangazia kutumia teknolojia kuweka kiwango cha marupurupu ambayo ni kwa hawa walemavu kulingana na hali ya ulemavu ambayo hawa walemavu wako nayo. Nimeongezea kuhusu usajili, tuhakikishe kwamba usajili huo ni wa njia ya haki, kwamba wale watu ambao wako na ulemavu wapate kuwa wamesajiliwa, na pia vifaa hivi ambavyo wanaendelea kupewa zibadilishwe ziwe za uendelevu, ziwe na usawa na zikuwe na athari ya wale wanaolengwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, Waswahili walituambia kwamba mtu ni utu, si uumbile. Hii inatufundisha kuwa dhamani ya mtu haipimwi kwa uwezo wa kimwili, bali kwa utu wake, heshima yake na mchango wake katika jamii. Nakumbusha pia kwamba ulemavu si udhaifu, bali ni utofauti. Tofauti tu ya ulemavu ni kwamba yeye maumbile ambayo anaishi kwake hayaafikiani na vile maumbile yake yako. Na kwa hivyo ni jukumu letu kama taifa kuhakikisha kwamba tumeenda pale kati na kuhakikisha kwamba ulemavu wake ama environment yake basi inaambatana na kumsaidia kujikimu katika maisha kulingana na ule ulemavu wake. Na pia ya mwisho niseme tukumbuke ya kwamba katiba yetu kupitia ibara ya 54 inatukumbusha kwamba haki za watu wenye ulemavu, na ni juu yetu kuhakikisha kuwa haki zao hazibaki tu kwenye maandishi, bali zinaonyeshwa katika maisha halisi. Kwa hivyo ningependa tena nikimalizia kuwapa kongole Bwana Mwenyekiti, Mheshimiwa Wangwe, kwa kuleta hii ripoti na kuwauliza kamati hiyo waweze kufanya bidii zaidi kuhakikisha kwamba zile ripoti ambazo zinafika katika bunge ziko karibu zaidi, sio ambazo ziko zaidi ya miaka 5 iliyopita, na kuangazia hilo swala la shilingi 2,000 ni chache sana kulingana na hali ya kiuchumi ilivyo. Hizo pesa ambazo wanapewa hawa walemavu kuhakikisha kwamba tutafute jinsi ya kutumia teknolojia kuwapa walemavu kulingana na hali yao ya ulemavu, ili wale ambao wanahitaji hela mingi sana kusaidiwa basi wakuwe bado wanapata hela mingi. Na nikumbushe sisi wote wale ambao tunasema hatuna ulemavu tuko sekunde moja kutoka kuwa walemavu, kupitia kwa ajali ya barabara ambao kila siku tupo. Wengine unaweza anguka kwa bafu, wengine ukakuwa mgonjwa, na Mungu akujalia miaka mingi ya kuishi humu ulimwenguni ufikisha pengine miaka 100. Ukifika 100 pengine hutakuwa unaweza kutembea. Kwa hivyo utahitaji wengine kuja kutuangalia, na kwa hivyo ni lazima sana tukubaliane kama bunge tujali kabisa maslahi ya hawa walemavu. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Kuria Kimani kwa Kiswahili sanifu. Now let's hear from the Honorable Anne.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the provision of services for people living with disability, as has been tabled by Honorable Wangwe. And I just want to ride on what every other speaker has said, that when you look at how the Kenya National Council for People Living with Disability has not been able to do enough for these people, and especially passing information to other people and making them come on board to be able to understand how to treat these people who are special and living among us. I would want to give an example of in the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, the kit that is normally given to the woman rep has a very small percentage of where you are supposed to deal with PWDs. And I can be able to tell you that even by the time I was elected, get the statistics of the people that are living within Kiambu County and are disabled was such a big task that at some point I had to take myself to the National Council for the People Living with Disability to know where to start, because you don't even know where to get the information. And when you start talking to them, they will now start telling you how much they are struggling to also be able to get even the card. So we are saying that this issuing of their cards need to be devolved. Just as we do Huduma, we can have it even within Huduma, where these people know where they can be getting their cards, so that we ease their way of doing things. And above all, let them also involve in employment, let them involve a number of these people who are able to understand. Like now, personally, I involved a disabled person in my board, so that you'll be able to be taking care of these people, because you realize when you bring on board such a person, in a times when people will at some time forget, not intentionally, but by the fact that maybe you do not have so many of such people around you. So when you have such people in so many boards that are involved in such things, then they'll be able to be presenting these issues of these people. And above all, I would also want to talk on the increment. From the 2,000, when you look at the 2,000 is to the person who is disabled. But again, we are forgetting, there is also somebody else who is not able to exercise their duties or even to work just because they have to take care of this person that is disabled. So when we look at these people, we realize that we have 3 people that are already incapacitated, maybe 2 taking care of this person. So if we look at these issues as a house, I would want to thank Honorable Wangwe so much for looking at this and tabling it with such a passion, so that as a house, we look at the issues that these people are going through every other day, and we take it upon ourselves that we need to be involving them and bringing them on board so that we are able to understand the issues they go around with. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I one time tried to bring on board the people living with albinism in Kiambu County. And I realized they were more than what I could provide with NGAF. So when we look at this and also look at the issues of the women reps who are mothers and feeling issues of serving these people with a passion, I would also want to say that it should also be considered that even as they consider the people to be working with these people, the CHVs who are already in the communities serving in other issues, they also bring the Mama counties on board, because we have a kitty where we are doing that, so that they also use us to reach the same people. And as we look at this issue, then we're going to ease the burden that these people are going through every day. I submit and thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this time.
Great. There being no further interest in this particular one, let me ask the mover to reply.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to first and foremost appreciate my colleagues for really weighing in, making suggestions, and reaching the report further, such that, Honorable Speaker, whoever is going to read the Hansard, together with the report, will really make good of what is supposed to be done and what the Council for Persons with Disabilities can now do. Honorable Speaker, I'm also happy for the presentation taken by Honorable Kuria Kimani, especially in Kiswahili. It's very tricky to get a man of numbers being able to express the numbers in Kiswahili. It's a very, very good impression that not all of us can speak just English. We can speak both bilingual or even 3 languages at the same time. I want to appreciate the woman rep for Kiambu, that what she has weighed in, especially devolving the council activities, is a key thing, Honorable Speaker. Let it not just sit in Nairobi and say Nairobi is the best, but let us also look at it downwards. And thank the honorable member who seconded me, the Mheshimiwa County Rep for Busia, that the contribution she has made is wonderful. It's all round and it enriches us, together with the honorable member for Matayos. That, Honorable Speaker, it's not just the Auditor General who had seen the issue of persons with disabilities. Even the member for Matayos had seen it before. What can we do as a house? Now that we have the report, the Committee on Implementation, I wish that they take it up strongly, Honorable Speaker, that they move away with it, so that after 60 days, let them now make sure implementation is done. Budget cycle should be checked. Let us see that when the budget comes into this house, there is something positive towards the council, so that we move together as one. Remember, Honorable Speaker, when we are saying we are giving stipends, and we say we rationalize it at 2,000, 2,000 is for the elderly, a mother of some other people behind. But when you say to persons with disability, is the principal. This is the person you are supporting. He has no any other person against himself or for himself. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, that difference has not been made, and I want to thank my colleagues for supporting my report. I beg to reply.
Very well. You should have also thanked me for reminding you that the registration is done every year. Change of the card, every time they have to pay money, and you are told this card cannot work this year, next year another one. When you retire back to your table and you meet the auditor and other authorities, please check on that. Honorable members, we shall defer putting of the question to this particular one until the next sitting. Next order.
Order number 14, motion, consideration of the fifth report on the financial statements for the NGCDF accounts for 6 constituencies in Busia County.
Mover. Very well, honorable members. The mover to this one had actually asked permission because he's engaged elsewhere, and therefore we shall also defer this particular motion to the next sitting. Honorable members, let's be upstanding. Honorable members, and the time being 6:42 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, 22nd July 2025 at 2:30 p.m.